Cable Bahamas has been and continues to be a positive shot in the arm for our summer camps. We look forward to it. Without Cable Bahamas, I don't know if we will succeed because we look forward to the funding and we are very appreciative, particularly the Cable Cares program. We are very appreciative to what they do.
We thank the Cable Cares Foundation, which would have given into this program, and it's going to pay dividends in the long run because each one of these children are affected.
Well, Cable Bahamas Foundation has helped us in a huge way. We are out there looking for all kind of help, and I am so happy that the Cable Foundation didn't decline us based on the economy and what is going on today.
So they've been with us for a long time, and we look for them to be with us for many years to come.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, a former Assistant Commissioner of Police slams the Minister of National Security, the Minister of Environment and Housing to resume tearing down illegal shanty towns, how the family is helping the families of crime victims heal, and a young musician has his work make it to Billboard's Top 100. Plus, as always, we count down the top quotes of the week. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on NB12 Weekend. To NB12, a former high-ranking police official hitting out at National Security Minister Dr. Nottage, who this week defended the Christie administration's handling of crime. He says it's time for politicians to stop making it about their parties and let police officers do their jobs. Jasmine Brown reports.
Thompson was adamant, insisting there is no place for politics in policing. Thompson says for too long the crime issue has been politicized, and that's why no real headway.
This ain't no political problem. When the fella come to rob you, you don't want to know if you're PLP or FNM or what. But it is a national problem.
Thompson insisted politicians simply do not have the answers and are too involved with how police carry out their duties.
The politicians, they want to guide the police. That's what I see. The respect that once the police commanded is not there now. I look at a lot of things. One, let's look at the BEC scandal. It took from December, when it was revealed, to May before the police got it. Corruption and bribery is a crime.
His comments follow those made by the National Security Minister, who said on Tuesday that the Christie administration is not to blame for the rise in crime in the country. Nottage also insisted that those critics who believe the government can wave a magic wand to address the high level of crime his comments follow those made by the National Security Minister, who said on Tuesday that the Christie administration is not to blame for the rise in crime in the country. Nottage also insisted that those critics who believe the government can wave a magic wand to address the high level of crime in the country.
That was politics. Nobody had all the answers. It's all politics.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.
A 45-year-old man is in police custody tonight after being found in possession of a large amount of marijuana. Police say officers from the Drug Enforcement Unit conducted an operation in the Arawak Key Port area yesterday at around 8 a.m. Reports are that officers stopped a suspicious Honda CR-V driven by the suspect. The officers conducted a search of the vehicle and uncovered 2 large coolers containing several crocus sacks with 193 pounds of marijuana. The suspect was taken into custody for questioning. And a quick action by police led to the arrest of 2 21-year-old men shortly after they held up a man on Carmichael Road yesterday. According to reports, shortly after 4 p.m., police received a report that a man was held up and robbed of his cell phone, cash, and jewelry by 2 gunmen in a bushy area off Carmichael Road. Officers from the Southwestern Division responded and arrested the 2 suspects in the nearby area. The officers recovered from the suspects a .22 handgun, an imitation handgun, and the robbery victim's cash, cell phone, and jewelry. The suspects are being questioned in connection with several other armed robberies. Well, Minister of the Environment and Housing Ken Dorset has said his ministry will move to evict residents of the Gamble Heights Shanty town, which he says has been allowed to grow despite government's pledge to demolish illegal communities. Increased attention was placed on Gamble Heights when police shot and killed a man in the community last month during a violent struggle with officers. Following the shooting, the scene turned hostile and 2 police cars were damaged in the process, police said. A large rock was thrown into the windshield of one of the cars, and the front passenger window of the other vehicle was smashed. When asked why that particular shanty town still stood, Dorset said while eviction notices were given out in the area last year, authorities were not able to demolish that site for financial reasons.
Budgetary constraints did not allow us to continue during that fiscal year with the removal of the shanty town. Sadly, we had the recent incident that took place there, but it is a matter that we, as I indicated in my budget communication, we had made provision in this year's budget to address that particular area, and I believe that notices are now being renewed. Just to make sure that the legal process is taken care of.
Following that incident in Gamble Heights, Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell sparked outrage when he said there were no-go zones for law enforcement officers in the Bahamas. And at the time, he said dealing with the shantytown was now an issue of national security. The government announced massive demolition exercises for the illegal communities in June 2013. While some shantytowns have been demolished, all of them have yet to be dealt with. Dorset says there's always the concern of handling this matter as humanely as possible.
Also, we will be moving in, as we have done in other instances, with the Department of Social Services and other agencies to ensure that whatever it is done is not only lawful, but more importantly, humane. We know that under the Millennium Development Goals, the Bahamas became a signatory, as have many other countries, to eradicate slum communities. And we really see this as not just, the removal of slum communities, but assisting our people in being able to get proper, lawful accommodation.
Well, the rising level of violent crime directly correlates to the rising level of anger Bahamians are experiencing. That's the basis of psychiatrist Dr. David Allen's research and the impetus behind him creating The Family, People Helping People.
How you define family is this: when I share my story with you and you listen to me, a bond develops, and that's what we call family. So what has happened is, in these 26 families, including the prison, Boys and Girls Industrial School, the Ranfurly Home, Kemp Road, Grantstown, Carmichael, South Beach, in all these areas, West Bay Street, people are sharing their stories. And then we did a research-based program. We record everything we do, and we study the trends. For example, in the past 3 years, if you look at our research, the trends in about over 800 family sessions were, first of all, anger. People are very angry all over the Bahamas. Secondly, the anger leads to violence. A lot of the violence you don't even hear about, especially those who are more well-off people, you don't hear about that. Thirdly, there's a powerful sadness in the country.
Now in its 7th year, Dr. Allen says there's a need to expand his program so that the growing number of people affected by murder, rape, armed robberies, and even the negative effects of the poor economy have somewhere to turn.
In our work with shame, and shame is S, self, H, hatred, A, aimed at me. The young boys on the street call it, you dissed me. What they're saying, I've been so hurt, I've been so abandoned, I've been so rejected, I've been so humiliated. If you mess with my girlfriend, or my stuff, or my car, you shame me so more that all I know then is to what? Fire back and hurt you, and in some cases even kill you. So in the family, in all these areas, we have the relatives of people whose relatives have been killed, murdered, violently abused, or some who just fallen by the wayside with the economic downturn. Some people are really suffering deeply.
It was a typical Wednesday afternoon session at the East Street Gospel Church, where MB12 cameras were allowed to record some of the stories of members of the family group counseling session. All who shared said they attend the sessions because it's the only safe place they can be guaranteed a listening ear.
Growing up on the streets, it's not easy to talk to people, so when you have problems, there's no one to run to. So like you say, you find other things to get rid of your fears or feelings, or even if you feel the need to talk and express something to someone, there's no one to express it to. So you could go take a drink or take a smoke and it all blows away. For the heat of the moment, it all goes away. And then it comes right back and it hits you like a storm.
So I didn't care if I got killed or not. And so many times I was attacked. Many times, even because I was a thief, things I didn't even steal. But because I was in a particular area and people know I was hot boy, they catch up with me, they beat me, and they trying to kill me. Many times I entered the hospital and didn't know how I got there.
Dr. Allen and Family Administrator Andre Chappelle say they believe the high level of crime won't be reduced until the underlying issues of anger and shame are treated.
Violence, addiction, problems in school, abuse, domestic violence, intimacy dysfunction, especially between males and females, and all these issues can be looked at as a shame process. What we're doing is confronting that head on. Our studies show that our murder rate parallels the anger rate. As the murder rate went high last year and going high this year, the anger rate in our groups, the 26 groups, is showing the same thing. So I believe from my research that we will not reduce the murder rate until we reduce the anger rate.
And we'll never really reduce the crime rate in the country if we don't address the root problem of the crime, which is anger. You know, a large percentage of the crime that is committed is emotionally driven crime. You have emotionally driven crime, and then you've got, crime just being committed because someone wants to rob you for money, economically driven crime. But what we deal with is the emotionally driven crime. So until you address the anger rate, you're never really going to reduce the crime.
Since it started in 2008 with 10 members who were all relatives of murder victims, the family has grown to now include 24 counseling groups that meet every day throughout the capital. A training seminar will begin next weekend for group facilitators in an effort to further expand that project. Stay with us. When MB12 returns, a mother struggles to care for her child with a rare and incurable disease. Plus, a Bahamian artist making international airwaves with a new album. Those stories and more when we come right back.